We're back on Get Up, and one of the big questions in the NBA is where Giannis will be next season on the heels of another frustrating year in Milwaukee. Yesterday on NBA Today, Shams had these comments about how Miami is going to be a team very much in the mix.
The Heat, Pat Riley, it's clear around the NBA when I talk to rival executives, Pat Riley wants his whale, his shark, his tiger, whatever animal you want to use to describe it. At the deadline, they made offers for Giannis Antetokounmpo. They offered Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, a bunch of draft capital. From my understanding, the Bucks didn't obviously move Giannis, and so they'll be back in the Giannis hunt.
This, of course, before the Heat lost last night, so their season is officially over. Shump, if I say Giannis to the Heat, what's your reaction?
I like it. I actually like it. I think the Heat play a style of basketball that Giannis could fit in. They don't need him to settle for threes and shoot a bunch of threes, and that's the only knock on Giannis. I think they get up and down, they defend. They play for 48 minutes. It's a good group for him to be around.
Vinny, I've got people telling me, why would he go if his goal is to win? Doesn't feel a lot closer in Miami. Now, they're better than Milwaukee, but doesn't feel like that's a title waiting to happen. What's your reaction?
You'd be trusting the infrastructure of the Miami Heat to surround you with shooting. If you put him and Bam Adebayo together, that means you need 3 shooters around. The thing about the Heat is they have 3 tradable first-round picks, including this season. Not everybody has their own draft capital. That's an attractive thing. But if you're Milwaukee, you're going to be expecting young players plus draft capital this season, unless he says specifically, I want to go to Miami, that handcuffs you.
So far, Giannis, and we talked about this the other day, has been hesitant to be the bad guy in all of this. And dictating where he wants to go would certainly be being the bad guy. So let's just play fantasy basketball. Let's put him wherever we want. Give me a place that Giannis could land that, in your opinion, they win the title next year.
Well, fantasy basketball.
You win the title next year?
Win the title next year. Where could Giannis go that all of a sudden now we're going to win the championship? Where are we going?
Well, besides Oklahoma City or someplace like that. But Minnesota, to me, and Minnesota does not have the draft capital. They can only trade 28. This year's pick, the 28th, and 2033. They don't have the draft capital. But if you put him with Anthony Edwards, that's the profile of the type of player who is a ball-dominant ball player, who can play both ends, and you're not asking Giannis to create everything on offense. You're just telling Giannis, be a secondary scorer, a secondary primary scorer, be a facilitator, and be hellacious on defense, as opposed to putting him in a similar situation like he is already in Milwaukee, where he has to do everything.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yesterday you gave me Golden State. You said he and Steph similar. Obviously, Steph and Edwards are not similar players, but the rationale behind that, I think, would be relatively similar as far as what would be required of Giannis. What do you think?
If we're talking about a championship, it's like he said, go up there to OKC.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Could you see that? That would be.
You don't want to be the bad guy, but K did it.
Yeah. Would that be like KD going to Golden State?
Yeah.
KD was able to go to Golden State as a free agent in a weird moment where the salary cap expanded. It was like a very rare perfect storm of circumstances. This wouldn't be that. OKC would have to make a trade in order to get him, right?
Yeah.
Right. Look.
I just meant joining on to a team that don't really need him.
Right, and then there's exactly.
That's what I meant. Like, they can win without him, but if he goes, it's the same.
Okay, let's talk about a team that can't win without him. The New York Knicks. Right? I don't think they're winning the championship this year. And depending on what happens in the playoffs, there could be a heightened sense of urgency to go get him. I just don't know if there's a realistic path right now.
If they get knocked out in the second round by Boston, the Knicks fans are going to be clamoring for Giannis.
Without
would
a
you
doubt.
like it? Would you think that would be?
If they a second round exit?
If they get knocked out by Boston in the second round.
Then I'm part of it. You can go get him. Like, it's on a red alert, you can go get him, because y'all shouldn't be bouncing out in the second round.
Yeah, I think the noise is going to get a lot louder.
Yeah.
We do know these two sides entered into an exclusive negotiating period that we didn't find out about until much later.
Right.
That's how quiet it was. So it's clear that if there's one place he wants to go, it would be the New York Knicks.
Okay, we'll see. The Knicks will begin their playoffs on Saturday against Atlanta. We'll see how long it takes for that one to come to an end. In the meantime, coming up now, I can tell you that what happens this weekend in Vegas will definitely not stay.
Joining us now is our NBA senior writer, Anthony Slater. And, Anthony, one of the biggest storylines in that Warriors-Clippers game is not if Steph is going to play, but how much will he play with that persistent right knee issue?
Yeah, he's played, in the high 20s in his 4 games back. He missed 27 games with the persistent issue you're talking about. They say they're going to get him over 30. How far over 30 is kind of an internal tug-of-war a little bit. Steph wants to inch it as close as possible to 34, 35. They say they won't let him get anywhere near 40. And there's 3 reasons for that. Number 1, he just turned 38 years old. Number 2, he's coming off an injury that's an overuse injury. They call it runner's knee. It's about, as much as he's run over his career. And then number 3, if they're being really honest with themselves, how far is this team really going to go? Right. They have to win 2 do-or-die games this weekend to face the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, Sunday in Game 1 without their starting win because Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody are already out for the year.
Yeah, and then he also kind of tweaked that ankle as well in that last game. So Warriors, they've got to slow down Kawhi Leonard, who, by the way, all of a sudden looks like his old self, averaging 27.9 points per game. What's Golden State's game plan for the Claw?
It's interesting. Historically, their defensive game plan is Draymond Green plays free safety and messes up the offense away from the primary matchup. But this team's roster, while it hasn't played together much, is built differently. They have Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis behind the play, and they can actually use Draymond Green as the primary matchup on Kawhi. They rewatched the game from early March where Draymond guarded Kawhi. They like what they saw, so I actually expect Draymond Green, an all-time NBA defender, going against Kawhi Leonard, an all-time scorer.
Man, in case you're wondering, Golden State was just 1-3 against the Clippers during the regular season. We'll see what happens in the play. Anthony Slater, thank you.
In the East, we have the Miami Heat meeting the Charlotte Hornets. In the West, we have the Trailblazers facing the Phoenix Suns. And a reminder, here's how we got here with these play-in teams. So, 4th straight year in the play-in for the Heat. Miami, 2nd highest scoring offense in the NBA. The Heat, however, were 22 in scoring defense. Hornets, one of the surprises of the season, they improved by 25 wins over last year, won 28 of their last 38, second best record in the East during that span, trailing only the Celtics. All right, let's go out west. Blazers overcame an unexpected early season coaching change. They won their most game since 2021. Denny Abdja, career season, averaging over 24 points. Portland won 7 of its last 10, and the Suns, another team that made a jump from last year, 9-win improvement. They did it with defense, ranked 6th in the NBA in scoring defense to offset their 26th ranked offense. If you're not going to play one, you got to play the other. Joining me now is NBA analyst, 2016 NBA champ, Iman Shumpert. So, Shump, we have Heat and Hornets. This is really interesting. Miami obviously got the best of Charlotte, 3 out of 4 in the regular season, but they can shoot those threes like crazy. What's going to be the deciding factor tonight, do you think?
Defending that three-point line, like you said. I think that Miami has had a little bit of slippage, honestly, the last 10 games with defensively how they approach a game. I think they've been doing a great job scoring the ball. But when you're playing against the Charlotte Hornets, any type of defensive lapses, which if your defense is suffering, they are the type of team that will tear you up. And I say that because it's a lot of penetration. It's a lot of highlight dunks. There's a lot of oops. There's long threes that they shoot. Con Knippel and LaMelo Ball shooting the hell out of the ball right now. But when you have a team like Miami that is suffering in that department as far as defending the three-point line and then defending the guards, I think that you're going to run into some trouble in that matchup. I like the Hornets a lot in this.
Yeah, listen, they led the regular season and made threes. They hit over 16 a game, almost 38% clip. All right, let's go to the Suns and the Blazers battling for the right to play Wemby and the Spurs in round 1. Phoenix wins the regular season series 2-1. What decides this one?
I think that I like Phoenix coming out of this, and I say that because they are heading into a playoff form. And though this is a play-in tournament, in playoff form, you have a Devin Booker, and that's somebody that, when in the playoffs, can always go off for about 40 and higher numbers up after that. Devin Booker understands what's at stake getting into this seed. I don't know what getting to this spot actually does, because facing the San Antonio Spurs has to be a nightmare. Exactly. But I do like them in this matchup just because they have guards that can match up and they can defend as well as score the ball at a high clip. I think the Trailblazers will deal with them better if they were in a full series, but this being a play-in situation, I just like my chances with the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, listen, I mean, Book only played in one of those meetings. He had 19.6 of 13 shooting, and the Suns did win that one. So, as you mentioned, yay, you get to play Wemby and the Spurs. Which team, though, do you think matches up better with the Spurs? Would it be Phoenix or Portland in a matchup sense?
I think that it's going to be Phoenix again, and that's why I like them coming out of this. Phoenix has the ability to match up with the Spurs and compete with their backcourt for long enough to get it to the end of games. We talk about the knock on Wemby being that he doesn't finish all the games. He doesn't play the high minutes, and getting him into those situations in playoffs where he has to play high minutes and he has to play multiple games within the week that you can't sit out of, you can't rest, and you can't run from the contact. You're going to have to ice in between days. I think that if you can have your guards compete with the San Antonio Spurs guards and get it to the end of those games, I think you could finally make it tough on Wemby. But until then, it is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I love that strategy that you just laid out, which seems to be kind of, hope for the best.
It's just a hope for the best type of thing, because I'm telling you right now, they start off with De'Aaron Fox at the hound of that thing, and you put 3 holes in his back, he is a bowling ball. I'm telling you, it's downhill. It's gone.
I love it. Iman, great to talk hoops with you. Thanks, my friend.